Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome back to the Gentleman's Corner. I am Rizzo, and thanks to my good friend Freddie, I've been tagged. Thank God. I was wondering when it was actually going to be my time to partake in what's a pretty good idea. I believe Lupe started this idea, and it's a really good idea. It actually is allowing new subscribers or new reviewers a chance to get to know some of the older reviewers like myself or like Cody or Mark or yeah, just some of the older reviewers. So I'm gonna jump right into it. Try not to take up too much of you guys' time. The first question: what are your earliest fragrance memories? My earliest fragrance memory would have to be probably getting my first bottle of cologne, which was the Nautica. It had the aqua, like blue bottle or whatever. Yeah, I just thought it smelled really, really good. And I was in middle school. I was known to be, the kid that smelled really well. So um, that one, and then I remember my grandfather, who was who had a pretty big impact in my life. Uh, when he passed away, he had his cologne collection, and I inherited it simply because I was just ravaging through some of his items, and I saw them, and I decided, I'd take them. And he had a bottle of Japur, and I didn't appreciate it back then. Like, I just thought it was something that smelled really good, and I wore it to high school like practically every day. It was like my signature scent, but I didn't really appreciate it. But it was a really, really good scent, and I loved it. So those would probably be like some of my earliest fragrance memories. My first fragrance purchase. I don't remember my first fragrance purchase per se, but it was kind of like not really my purchase, but I kind of begged my mom to buy it for me. Yeah, so I guess you could say that was kind of like my purchase. It would actually be La Deisi, Pour Homme, or Isimiyaki. Yeah, I had to have that one, and I'll allude to why I had to have that one later on with another question. What was my first niche purchase? First niche purchase. All right, so here's the thing. Niche is sort of described as something that isn't accessible to mass marketing or the mass amount of, the population, right? So at the time, before the whole fragrance boom, Dolce & Gabbana, the one, was not released in the United States. And I actually had a good friend of mine, her name's Trisha. She informed me about it because her brother played ball overseas, and she said that she was in Europe, and she had told me about it. She's like, you have to have that fragrance. It smells really, really good. So at the time, Dolce & Gabbana, like the one, was considered niche because they didn't have it in the U.S. I actually had to order mine, have them ship it from overseas to the U.S. But if you're going to talk about currently, my first niche purchase would probably be Creed Original Santal. Again, my same friend. She knew that I was into fragrances, so she pretty much helped me out. In terms of my getting my collection started and about things that I had no idea, because I was the guy that probably stuck to a lot of designers. I would go to the malls, smell out whatever they had that was the best or whatever, or deemed the best by the sales associate, or what I thought to be the best, and I'd purchase it. I had no clue about niche or anything like that. But then again, this was before YouTube. This was before fragrance, Facebook, and all this technology and everything like that. So yeah. What was the best blind? No, actually, what was my first blind buy? Dolce & Gabbana, the one. I just kind of went off word of mouth. Her word of mouth. She said it smelled really good, and I trusted her because she knew that I liked to smell good, and she knew me fairly well. So blind bought it, and I loved it. Matter of fact, I had a teacher, well, a teacher's aide, and again, at the time, that fragrance hadn't been released across the mass market. So she's like, "Oh my God, what are you wearing?" And I was like, "I don't know." I knew what I was wearing, but I didn't want to give her like the the information. I was like, I don't know. My friend, she picked it up for me, and she was like, every day you wear that fragrance and you take this class, you're gonna have to sit in the front by me because you smell that good. So I wore it every time. Every time I took the class, I wore it. My best blind buy, excuse me. What was my best blind buy? My best blind buy would actually have to be Pure Havane. I remember when I first, again, earlier stages, I'm talking early stages of this whole fragrance community. I watched a guy, Cutlass Supreme SL, Brandon, and all he talked about was pure malt, pure malt, pure malt, and then the whole Amen house. And so then I saw Pure Havane, and I actually liked pure malt. It was pretty good. I blind bought that one, and this was back when it was like $150 a pop, you know. And then I couldn't find Pure Havane because I think he reviewed Pure Havane as well. I couldn't find Pure Havane anywhere, and then I ended up finding it on when I was on vacation once, and I sprayed it. You know, so I popped the seal. As soon as I popped the seal, I sprayed it, and I was like, "Oh yes, this one." Excuse me, this one is 10 times better than that one. So I actually, for my taste and my liking, I ended up liking Pure Havane over Pure Malt. So, what are my favorite fragrance notes? My favorite fragrance notes would have to be vanilla. I really love vanilla. I love chocolate, honey, neroli, vetiver, cinnamon, and powder fragrances are fragrances that typically have them in there. And I also love an apple accord. So if a fragrance has an apple accord, I also love it too. My favorite fragrance house. My favorite fragrance house is kind of hard. Maybe Creed, because I really haven't found too many fragrances from Creed that I just are god awful, like I just hate, or that I just absolutely would not purchase. I really can't think of one off the bat. I'm sure it's some, but just overall, I have a lot of Creed. And another one would also be the House of Dior, with the exception of a few of their new releases because I feel that they are a bit redundant. Dior, yeah, I like the House of Dior, especially with the whole private blends line. You know, I really like that house as well. So it'd probably be a toss-up between Dior as well as the House of Creed. My favorite fragrance. It's, if you know me, it's a three-way tie, honestly. My favorite fragrance, Bois d'Argent by Christian Dior, Tuscan Leather, Tom Ford, along with Neroli Portofino by Tom Ford. And I also love and have a weak spot for 1 Million by Paco Rabanne. Those are my favorite fragrances. What is my fragrance profile? So if I had to create a fragrance in my fragrance profile, it would be something along the lines, and again, this is just me winging it or whatever, or you know, putting a shot in the dark. It would open up with a smooth leather and amber accord, kind of like a smooth leather, amber, fruity, pineapple accord. And it'll shift into an amber vanilla honey mid, and it would dry down with a woodsy vanilla cinnamon accord that would be blended so well to where every now and then you think that you'd be getting hints of chocolate. You know, I'm not saying that it would be chocolate in it, maybe not, but you think that you get hints of chocolate here and there. So my fragrance resolution moving forward. Oh, I couldn't wait to talk about this, and hopefully this doesn't make my video too long. This is my fragrance resolution moving forward. Alright, so I've come to the conclusion that since I've been reviewing, I've watched the fragrance community shift. Some good, some I don't agree with. And when I first initially, and again, I think I come in the second generation of reviewers with Cody, and I don't know if Mark was there, but I think they had a lot more videos than I did. I think I maybe had one video before I really started to record or whatever, but I think I came in the second generation of reviewers, or maybe the third, but I'm one of the earlier reviewers. And back then, it was a conglomerate of reviewers that had the same agenda, the same goal, and that was to, yes, we do this as a hobby and we love it, but for the average Joe or the average guy who walks into the to the mall, or who wants a Christmas gift, or who wants to know whether or not a fragrance smells good because maybe he saw it in an ad or he saw it in the mall or something like that, you know, somebody has reviewed it. At least that was another reason why I got on YouTube, because I was like, I saw this in the mall. I want to know what it smells like. Does it smell good? Should I get it? Or maybe I'm in the market for a new cologne. What should I buy? And so it was really simple back then. It was really easy. You know, the average guy would feel comfortable looking at a review. Now, the thing that is it's a tad bit frustrating sometimes is I feel like everybody's in the like trying to be in the limelight to see who has the best Ferrari or who has the best car. You know what I'm saying? Like, here's the thing, like, it's great that, you know, everybody, you know, people's pockets are deep, and it's great that you have the most expensive fragrance or whatever, but what about the average Joes? And that's where I come in at, and a couple of other people. And I'm going through this whole channel thing. You know, I'm gonna redo my channel, but I want to make sure that I continue to keep that hint of old school, so to speak, where back then, yes, I do own, you know, a fragrance Ferrari, so to speak, in my niche, and I am a collector, and it's gonna be known. But it's not to say that I'm gonna flaunt it in your face. It's just like, if you ask about it, or you would like to know, or I might want to review it from time to time, yes. But I'm gonna review fragrances that, you know, I feel like they get compliments. I'm gonna bring back the panty dropper videos, you know, things that I actually wear. And if it's not a home run hit, you know, like, I love the fact that Coach Rob has the Don't Believe the Hype series, because if it's not a home run hit, it's really no purpose in guys buying these fragrances, you know, unless they're just a collector and they have to have all the bottles, you know, that's, you know. But for the most part, for all the gentlemen who really want to smell well, I don't want you to feel like, oh my goodness, I need to go and drop $500 because this is the new fragrance and this is the new it. Because, to be honest, I've smelled quite a few supposedly fine fragrances. I mean, I have the money to buy them, but if they don't live up to the standards, if they're just average, if they're just redundant, in my opinion, you know, because Freddie said it well, we place value on things that we want. But if I don't think that this is something that a friend of mine would, you know, enjoy in terms of smell, not price, but smell quality or whatever, or even if I don't get a response from the female population, I'm not going to suggest that you buy it. I'm not going to suggest that you wear it, it be in your top 10, something that you have to have. So that's my fragrance resolution, and that's to continue to provide authentic information. And not to say that no one has, but it's like this. The neighborhood that I grew up is very poor, it's very run down. And if somebody were to continuously drive a Lamborghini or a Bugatti through it, or a Rolls Royce through it, you know, maybe one time you see it and be like, my goodness, that's a really nice car. But if somebody continuously drives it, you'll feel like that they're just being a show off. Rather, if somebody, you know, you have to have somebody to feel comfortable, have that same person to drive a regular car, and then, you know, gradually take them along the way to be like, oh, okay, maybe, you know, if I do it like this, then by the way, you know, I can also have the Ferrari or whatever. But that's my fragrance resolution, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Now comes the part of the video where I tag someone. And the person that I want to tag is, why not, my good friend Coach Rob 619. So you're up, my friend. Let us know a little bit about you. Hopefully you have time. Without further ado, I just want to give a shout out to Phi Beta Sigma, Blue Phi. You know, Hooyah Navy. Continue to smell well, gentlemen. Peace. Talk to you later, gentlemen.